I'm Sam Sessa, and you're listening to Baltimore Unsigned on WTMD. My guest on tonight's show is the Baltimore-based percussionist Evan Chapman, who has released a series of percussive covers of indie pop songs like Holocene from Bon Iver and Somebody That I Used to Know from Gautier. Evan, you started out doing straight-up drum set covers of pop songs. What got you into that in the first place?
I'm not really sure why I started doing that. I mean, I think it was just like I looked up to some of these drummers in bands and I just wanted to learn their parts. And I think everyone, when they're starting playing drums, kind of learns their favorite albums and stuff. And so I just started recording it and putting it on YouTube. And then as soon as I was practicing more of the classical stuff, I just like incorporated more of that into my life, into my music. And so I started just arranging the same songs that I would have played drum covers for, or maybe similar stuff, and just arranging it for the percussion instruments that I've been working on. I think some people see like the rock drum set and orchestral percussion kind of as two like totally separate things, and I kind of wanted to turn them into one thing and somehow play rock songs on marimba and xylophone and stuff. So just my way of fusing my my interests together.
So one of the ones I want to play a snippet of is your cover of Bon Iver's Holocene, which you've played a few times on the show. How did that song come together?
I mean, that's like one of my all-time favorite songs, the original. And I mean, that's just like, I'm a huge Bon Iver fan, and it seemed like that song kind of lended itself well to playing it on, other instruments, because the parts aren't really, like they're not too specific for each thing. Like you can play the guitar riff pretty easily on, vibes or whatever. And I mean, recording the parts, I just kind of transcribed each individual part, so I'll like listen to it and write it down. Not to the point where someone else could probably play it. It's mostly just like chicken scratches on a sheet of staff paper, but yeah, and I just learned the parts and learned the guitar riffs and all the bass parts and vocal lines, and just somehow, I mean, some of them were a little strange to play on keyboard instruments because they're obviously not originally played on those instruments, so kind of found a way to make it happen on percussion. And yeah, it's really cool that people like you guys enjoy it. I appreciate it.
Well, let's hear a snippet of it. This is Evan Chapman covering Bon Iver's Holocene. That's the percussive version of Holocene as done by Evan Chapman on Baltimore Unsigned. I'm Sam Sessa, and I'm live in studio with the Baltimore percussionist Evan Chapman. Evan, some of the videos that you've done for these percussion covers of songs like Somebody That I Used to Know have done pretty well on YouTube.
Basically, all the videos that I film that are covers, I'll send the video to the original artist, just, you know, partly as a courtesy to just be like, hey, there are people doing things with your music. But, you know, it's like sometimes that it's cool to hear feedback from the original artist. And before I started doing that, I kind of just assumed that everyone famous was like totally out of reach and you couldn't really talk to any of them. But as I started to email these people my covers and everything, I realized that a lot of them are really gracious and they're appreciative that people are, you know, taking the time to arrange their pieces. And so, yeah, I mean, in the case of a couple of them, I'll send the original artist the video and then they'll like, you know, retweet it or post it on their Facebook and something, which that kind of draws some people in. A recent example was the Gautier. I think you guys have been playing the Somebody That I Used to Know. He was kind of an extreme example because usually you email, you know, manager, tour manager, anyone you can get to because it's hard finding personal emails for Justin Vernon from Bon Iver or whatever. But in the case of him, like I emailed him the cover, and within like one day he sent me from his personal email this like really long message that was just like, this is so awesome, I'd like to meet up sometime, and like just really, really cool. And it's not like I'm covering like Britney Spears or Lady Gaga or something, people that would never in a million years see the cover. I'm usually covering people that are, you know, more humble still about their music, and they're really open to fan material. And so, yeah, I mean, a lot of the times they're just, you know, really nice about everything, and they just appreciate that someone cares enough about their music to make it their own, sort of.
I want to take a snippet from the Gautier cover next, Somebody That I Used to Know.
Sure.
You brought in another player for this song, too, right?
I did, yeah. It's my friend Natalie out in school in Indiana. She's a incredible harpist, and she had also done a couple similar harp cover videos, which I think is like the coolest idea in the world. And so we both had a love for this song. It was actually her idea to do this particular song. I think I posted some like Facebook status about the xylophone part in that song, and she was like, we should do a cover of it. And I was like, you're so right, we should. So the two of us collaborated, and we had never worked together before on anything, and so it was a really, really awesome experience getting to work with her. And she just had, because I know nothing about the harp whatsoever. I mean, I couldn't write for it in a million years, and so it was really cool hearing her input on it. And yeah, she had some great stuff to add to the arrangement. I've kind of been into like, I mean, you might know from the Holocene video, like, you know, making the tones on wine glasses and blowing into beer bottles, and it's fun making music out of things that you wouldn't think would normally make music. I mean, I guess a lot of people know that you can do that with beer bottles, but to actually see it in a real context is kind of fun.
It's Evan Chapman covering Gautier's Somebody That I Used to Know. percussion cover of Somebody That I Used to Know from Gautier, done by Evan Chapman on Baltimore Unsigned. We'll be back for more with Evan. You're listening to Baltimore Unsigned on WTMD. I'm Sam Sessa, and my guest on tonight's show is the percussionist Evan Chapman. So already on tonight's show, we've heard Evan's versions of Holocene from Bon Iver and Somebody That I Used to Know from Gautier. But Evan, in addition to some of these covers, you also have an album of original music. It's called Spring Forward.
Yeah, for a while I had a lot of ideas of pieces that just stayed in my head, and it was all really internal, and I was kind of too shy to do anything with them. Because, I mean, out at IU and these bands that I've been in, I'm amongst a lot of people that are really good at writing music, and I was always like a little intimidated. But it got to the point this past semester out at school where I was just like, you know what, I should do something with like these songs. And I would come up with like a little snippet of it, and then I would never do anything with it anymore. And so I kind of just made a goal for myself to just actually record some things. And it was a really fun experience. It was all done by myself. I just kind of locked myself in a rehearsal room at school and set up some mics. And not a lot of the pieces were really composed beforehand. A lot of it was just kind of messing around and seeing what sounded good. And so for that reason, I'm actually kind of trying to figure out how to play these songs live, because a lot of it was just messing around with things in the studio and overdubbing a whole bunch of parts. But so yeah, I eventually finished the album, and my brother mixed it. He's a really talented recording engineer in Philly, based out of Philly. And so I sent it over to him. It was kind of a DIY family little project. But it recently came out, and it's been cool hearing some of the feedback on the pieces that I've been writing, because I've never really composed anything before that people have heard. So it's kind of cool getting my stuff out there.
What song do you want to hear a bit from?
Maybe On His Chest might be a okay one.
Evan Chapman with On His Chest on Baltimore Unsigned. from his new album of original music. That's Evan Chapman on Baltimore Unsigned. So, Evan, I have to ask before we leave, are you planning on doing any more covers?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the covers are kind of my like weekend free time thing when I'm sick and tired of doing schoolwork and I just want to cover a song that I've been into recently. So I'm sure the next year I'll continue to do more covers. And part of it is that I kind of have like a secret, maybe it's not so secret, but a love for like technology and recording and video and photography and sort of the whole media aspect of things. So it's fun for me to be able to film and, you know, mix my own songs and everything. It's because it's not serious enough that there's a lot of pressure to do it, but it's just enough to keep me occupied and I can, you know, just sit there and edit videos, which I think is really fun. So yeah, I'll definitely be doing more covers in the future, just in my free time, out at school. It's just a nice little hobby, a hobby that I have.
Thanks so much for joining us in studio tonight, Evan.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You can find Evan at evanmchapman.com. Let's go out with one more from Evan's new album, Spring Forward. This song is I Am a Beggar Always. Have a great week.